Hi everyone, welcome back to TGMC, Diwan-e-Ghalib, Meri Subhani. To all our returning viewers, we are very happy you could join us again. And to the new viewers, we are delighted you discovered the podcast and decided to tune in for the first time. Now, if you were with me in the previous episode, you know that currently we are going through Ghazal 35 from Diwan-e-Ghalib, Wo Meri Chiin-e-Jabin se Gham-e-Pinhaan Samjhaa. We've already covered 3 couplets. Today we are going to pick the 4th couplet. Before I get into the impression, dear viewers, just to let you know, my throat is not yet healed. The cough is still there. So the tea, the lozenges in the mouth, the nasal twang, the cough, with all that, I will go ahead and record the episode. Bhool chook maaf. I'm hoping this will come out okay. All right. So, as always, let me read the couplet for you first, and then we will get into the approximate translation, keywords, key concepts, and finally the DGM's impression of the couplet. So this is how it goes. बद-गुमानी ने ना चाहा उसे सरगर्म-ए-खिराम. बद-गुमानी ने ना चाहा उसे सरगर्म-ए-खिराम. रुख पे हर कतरा अरग दीदा-ए-हैरान समझा. Let's do a quick approximate translation. First line, बद-गुमानी ने ना चाहा उसे सरगर्म-ए-खिराम. My suspicious nature did not want her to get hot and worked up by walking fast and eagerly. Second line, Rukh pe har Qatraa Araq Didaa-e-Hairaan Samjhaa. Every drop of sweat on her face, in its purest essence, was perceived by me as an amazed, astonished eye. It's a typical Ghalib couplet. The approximate translation kind of leaves you what? Right. But hopefully by the time we come to the end of the episode, it will make some sense, right? So let's start picking up the keywords. First word, Bad-Gumaani. Bad-Gumaani means being suspicious of something, not trusting something, mistrusting something, sometimes even having very negative, evil perception about something. इस पे मिर्ज़ा गालिब का शेर, उधर वो बदगुमानी है, इधर ये नातवानी है, ना पूछा जाए है उससे, ना बोला जाए है मुझसे. The approximate translation is, at that end, there is suspicion. At this end, there is a weakness, and hence neither does she ask me anything, and nor do I tell her anything. Beautiful couplet, very deep, getting into the paradox of lovers, right? Moving on to the next word, Sargarm. Sargarm is something like the word says garm, right? Very hot, very worked up, very intense, very eager, very enthusiastic, very passionate, right? इस पे जिगर मुरादाबादी का ये शेर, जब कोई हंसी होता है सरगर्म नवाजिश, उस वक्त वो कुछ और भी आते हैं सिवा याद. Lovely couplet. The approximate translation is, whenever a beautiful one gets eagerly and enthusiastically kind towards me, generous towards me, inviting towards me, at that moment, somehow I miss her even more. Even more. Moving on to the next word, Khiraam. So Khiraam is usually described as or translated to walking, the gait, the pace, which someone is walking, marching, strutting. इस पे जॉन इलिया का एक बहुत प्यारा शेर, ना उठे आह का धुआं भी कि वो, ना उठे आह का धुआं भी कि वो कुएं दिल में खिराम कर रहे हैं. So the approximate translation is, I have to take care that the smoke from these burning laments of mine does not arise at all, because at this moment she is walking up and down in my heart. Moving on to the next word, Rukh. Rukh is face, disposition, appearance, side of the face, front of the face, anything on the face like cheeks, eyes. इस पे अमीर मिनाई का बहुत प्यारा शेर, आपने गज़ल सुनी होगी, बहुत फेमस है. सरकती जाए है रुख से नकाब, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता निगलता आ रहा है आफताब, आहिस्ता आहिस्ता. So the approximate translation is, her veil is slipping from her face slowly, slowly, and the moon is revealing itself slowly, slowly. Moon being her face. Sorry. Moon being her face. Moving on to the next word, Qatraa. Qatraa is a very little amount of a liquid, usually a drop of a liquid. इस पे बशीर बद्र का ये शेर, आंसू को कभी ओस का कतरा ना समझना, ऐसा तुम्हें चाहत का समुंदर ना मिलेगा. One of our favorites at DGMC. The approximate translation is, this tear of mine, do not mistake it to be a drop of water, a drop of dew. Believe me when I tell you, this drop of a tear of mine holds in itself an ocean of love, an ocean of desire, an ocean of passion. Moving on to Araq. Now, Araq is, it's a very common word used in the perfume industry, because Araq is the distilled, concentrated, absolute essence of a large amount of liquid, right? That has been concentrated, distilled to its purest, most intense form. That is Araq. शेख इब्राहिम ज़ौक़ का ये शेर बहुत प्यारा शेर है. आज दोज़ख की भी हो जाएगी, oh, read it wrong, let me try again. आग, not आज, आग दोज़ख की भी हो जाएगी पानी पानी, जब ये आसी अरक़ शर्म से तर जाएंगे. The approximate translation is, even the blazing, furious flames of hell will get quenched when the sinners will get drenched in their sweat of shame, in their sweat of repentance. Beautiful couplet. And then the last word for today, keyword, Didaa-e-Hairaan. A word complex actually. Dida is eyes, Hairaan is amazement, wonderment, astonishment. इस पे फरहत अब्बास शाह का ये शेर, जिंदगी भी है मेरी आँखों में, मौत भी दीदा-ए-हैरान में है. The approximate translation is, in my eyes exists life, and in these astonished, amazed eyes also exists death. So that takes care of all the keywords. Let's start getting into our impression. Today the fountain is not making much noise. I wonder why. What's wrong with the fountain? Alright. First line. Bad-Gumaani ne na chaaha उसे Sargarm-e-Khiraam. Rolled over my words. My suspicious nature did not want her to get hot and worked up by walking fast and eagerly. Ghalib kickstarts the first line with a strong negative emotion, Bad-Gumaani, right? Bad-Gumaani, as we covered in the keywords, refers to suspicion, mistrust, negative, evil, presumption, doubt. It is frequently used as a thematic element in ghazals, representing a state of mind where one believes the worst in a situation or a person. Bad-Gumaani usually in ghazals describes the gap between the lover and the beloved caused by suspicion, where false assumptions have replaced trust. Therefore, many times, Bad-Gumaani will act as a catalyst for breaking the love connection, leading to the isolation of the beloved or the lover. Bad-Gumaani acts as a barrier to the romantic union between the lover and the beloved. So it is a very negative emotion. It is a very negative feeling at either end, be it at the lover or at the beloved's end. With this first word being Bad-Gumaani in today's couplet, the net is already cast by Ghalib, and we as audience are caught in it, right? What makes this net even more intriguing and fascinating is the fact that Ghalib the lover is associating himself with this negative emotion of Bad-Gumaani. He is not associating the beloved with this emotion. Usually, in Urdu poetry, most of the negative emotions or attributes actually get into the poor beloved's share, right? But here, and trust Ghalib, right? Here, Ghalib is associating the emotion of Bad-Gumaani with the lover, with himself. In the first part of the first line, Ghalib states that my suspicion, my mistrust, my evil presumption, my doubt made me wish that this should not happen. This should not occur. Because if it did, I would not be able to trust it. I would get suspicious. So what is this? Well, that's the second part of the first line. Usse Sargarm-e-Khiraam. Usse being her, being beloved, and Sargarm-e-Khiraam being enthusiastically, eagerly taking a walk. That is making her hot-headed. That is making her sweaty. That is making her perspire. The first line, if you see, and this is where I don't know how ghazal construction is done. I am not an expert on it. But even as a layman, even as someone who knows nothing about the technicalities of ghazal, right? Love the way the first line is so clearly demarcated into two parts, right? The first part is about the lover's reaction, and the second part is about the beloved's action. And of course, the lover's reaction is to the beloved's action. So, lover's reaction, beloved's action. Beautifully done, in our humble opinion. So, if the beloved was to walk fast and enthusiastically, so much so that she gets worked up and hot, then it would make the lover very, very suspicious. Even when we are reading it, it is making us go, what? What is this, right? How can these two things be connected? In that question lies the clever craftsmanship of Ghalib. The first line has two components brought together by Ghalib, the lover's reaction and the beloved's action, which don't seem to have anything in common at all. As a layperson, I would say She's walking and sweating. Why are you getting suspicious? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? There is no connection. Don't you have anything better to do, lover, than getting suspicious about her sweating as she's walking fast? That's the typical reaction of a layman. The absolute disconnect between these two things is what makes the line so masterful, right? That's where Ghalib throws his net and catches us in it as audience. He gets everyone wondering, number one, and number two, almost convinced that there is no way Ghalib will be able to bring together these absolutely two disconnected things together in any possible scenario. As audience, we are like, okay, let's see how he explains this one, right? So, when we were reading and creating the impression, this was such a strong emotion we felt about this first line. Ghalib, what are you talking about? And this is a ghazal. It was created to be narrated in a mushaira setting, right? A gathering of poets. So once Ghalib has read this first line, he, as the owner of the ghazal, can take as long a pause as he wants before he gets into the second line. So we as audience only read the first line and we are like, what is he talking about? This is not making any sense. Alright, let's get into the second line. Will things get worse? Or will they get better? Let's see. So, second line, Rukh pe har Qatraa, Araq Didaa-e-Hairaan nikla. Every drop of sweat on her face, in its purest essence, was perceived by me as an amazed, astonished eye. Let's pick the first part of the second line. Rukh pe har Qatraa. Every drop on her face. Ghalib puts a spotlight on every drop of sweat on the beloved's face. Ghalib here is using a favorite theme of many Urdu poets, which focuses on the lover's fascination with the beloved's face and everything that reflects on that face, that touches that face, that has any connection to that face. The fascination of the lover transforms everything on the beloved's face. The lover has his own definition of the beloved's face, what reflects on it, what touches it, what is part of it. The lover has a unique definition for everything, a unique understanding, a unique perception of everything, which is different from everybody else. आरज़ू लखनवी का ये शेर, पूछा जो उनसे चांद निकलता है किस तरह, जुल्फों को रुख पे डाल के झटक दिया कि यूं. The approximate translation is, when I asked her, beloved, can you help me understand how the moon rises in the sky, how the moon emerges in the sky? She flipped her hair onto her face and then flipped them back off her face and told me like this. Beautiful, beautiful, right? And then Haider Ali Atish का ये शेर, जो देखते तेरी जंजीर जुल्फ का आलम, असीर होने की आज़ाद आरज़ू करते. The approximate translation is, if they had ever seen this magnificence of your tresses, your locks, your curls, then believe me, beloved, all these people roaming free would have wished to be imprisoned in the chains, in the curls, in the ringlets of your hair. And then finally, as it is in our couplet today, beads of sweat is another fascination of the lover as he witnesses them on the beloved's face. कमर जलालवी का ये शेर, पोछो ना अरक रुखसारों से, रंगीनिए हुस्न को बढ़ने दो, सुनते हैं कि शबनम के कतरे फूलों को निखारा करते हैं. So the approximate translation is, do not wipe away the sweat from your cheeks, from your face. Let the color, let the radiance of your beauty shine even more. Because I've heard the dewdrops enhance the beauty of the flower. So dear beloved, do not wipe away the drops of sweat from your face. कंवल सियालकोटी का ये शेर, उभर आया रुख पर हया का नगीना, जबी पर न देखा था ऐसा पसीना. The approximate translation is, on her face emerged the gem, the pearl of shyness. In my entire life, I had never seen such drops of sweat emerge on any forehead. Almost like gems of shyness. Beautiful. So that takes care of the first part of the second line, Rukh pe har Qatraa. Let's move on to the second part of the second line to see how Ghalib decides to describe these beads of sweat on the beloved's face in today's couplet. What symbolism does Ghalib use? Araq, Didaa-e-Hairaan Samjhaa. Now, Araq is the first important theme in the second part of the second line. Though Araq literally means moisture, it is also used to detail sweat, perspiration. In Urdu poetry, it is often used to symbolize drops of either rose water or divine perspiration on the beloved's face. Therefore, Araq in Urdu poetry metaphorically describes the intense, passionate, pure and refined beauty of the beloved. Beloved does not sweat. Beloved does not perspire like we normal people. Beloved gives out Araq, essence, pure, refined, distilled, intense. Purity of emotion. Purity of emotion, intensity of emotion is what transforms a drop, which is Qatraa, into this concentrated essence, which is Araq. अल्लामा इकबाल का ये शेर, मोती समझ के शान करीमी ने चुन लिए, मोती समझ के शान करीमी ने चुन लिए, कतरे जो थे मेरे अरक इन्फियाल के. The approximate translation is, majestic God, he picked them up thinking they are pearls, these drops that were essence of my perspiration, my sweat, and symbolically my hard work, my pure work, my intense work, right? God himself came and thought these were pearls lying around, and he picked them up, these drops of sweat. So Araq was one important theme in the second part of the second line. The second important theme is Didaa-e-Hairaan. Now, Didaa-e-Hairaan in Persian and Urdu means eyes of wonder, astonished eyes, amazed sight, a glance that is filled with astonishment and amazement, right? It describes the state of being captivated, overwhelmed, and sometimes bewildered by the beauty of the beloved or the awe-inspiring nature of the divine beloved. Didaa-e-Hairaan often describes the gaze of the lover who is stunned by the beauty of the beloved, either her appearance or her actions, but totally stumped, totally mystified, stunned by it. Such is the close association of Didaa-e-Hairaan and the lover that Didaa-e-Hairaan is practically considered to be part of the DNA of the lover. शेख ज़हरुद्दीन हातिम का ये शेर, ज़ेवर हुस्न किया चश्मे हया, इश्क को दीदा-ए-हैरां बख्शा. The approximate translation is God blessed the beloved with an ornament of beauty, which was her eyes full of shyness. And to the lover, he blessed him with these eyes of amazement, glances of wonderment, astonishment, with which he will look at the beloved. So he graced her with eyes of shyness, and he blessed him with eyes of wonderment and amazement. जगबस ब्रज नारायण का ये शेर, यक प यक दीदा-ए-हैरां को ये शक होता है, ढल के सांचे में ज़मीं पे उतर आया है सहाब. The approximate translation is, moment by moment, my eyes of astonishment and amazement get suspicious as to what I am looking at, because to me it seems that the clouds from heavens above themselves have molded themselves into this beloved and descended down. Such is the beauty, such is the sight that she is. The lover believes that no one can reflect to the beloved her beauty the way the lover's astonished, amazed eyes can. That is the lover's belief. Number one, no one can see it the way I see it. And number two, no one can reflect it the way I reflected her beauty in my eyes. ज़ेब गौरी का ये शेर, खाक आईना दिखाती है कि पहचान में आ, अक्से नयाब मेरे दीदा-ए-हैरान में आ. The approximate translation is, it is dust, it is useless, it is incorrect, it is inaccurate what the mirror shows you, beloved. When will you step into your true identity? I implore you, O rarest of the rare reflection, come and stand in my eyes of wonderment, in my eyes of amazement, so that you can actually step into your true identity, your true beauty, so that you can actually see the truest form of you. These mirrors are useless. They show you nothing about you. These astonished, amazed eyes of the lover are helpless once they lock onto the beloved's beauty. It's almost impossible for the lover to look at anything else, anyone else anymore. बहुत प्यारा मीर तकी मीर का शेर, तक रहे हैं उसको सो हम तक रहे हैं एक से, दीदा-ए-हैरां हमारा दीदा-ए-बिस्मिल है क्या. Beautiful couplet. Approximate translation is, I am staring at her, and I am staring at her continuously in one straight, uninterrupted stare. Are my eyes eyes of amazement and astonishment, or are these eyes of a slaughtered person, just trying to capture the fact that the eyes don't blink at all when they are staring at the beloved? Mir Taki Mir, in his fabulous style, says, sometimes I wonder, are these eyes Didaa-e-Hairaan or are these eyes Didaa-e-Bismil? Almost seems these are eyes of a dead person that will never ever ever close again. Such is the astonishment, such is the amazement. Ghalib, in the second part, Araq Didaa-e-Hairaan Samjhaa, states that he perceives, he understands, Samjhaa, right? That these drops of sweat on the beloved's face are concentrated drops of essence of astonishment and amazement of eyes. Well, the next natural question is astonished and amazed eyes of who? If these eyes on the beloved's face are that of the lover, then why the lover is suspicious of these drops of sweat or these drops of essence? Because the first line clearly says he is suspicious of them. Why would a lover be suspicious of his own eyes on the beloved's face? At DGMC, we believe that's because, after all, what is on the beloved's face are the drops of sweat. Right? They are not the lover's gaze, and the lover knows that very well. That what he's seeing on her face is actually, in reality, drops of sweat. Now, this is very confusing when we were doing it, so I'm sure you are feeling the same way. So we will tell you how we understood this scene unfold. As always, we always say it in almost every episode, this is our impression, this is how it came across to us. If it came across any differently to you, share it with us, right? Because this is a Ghalib couplet. It definitely would have more than one interpretation. So let us share with you how we understood this scene unfold. The lover imagines a scenario where the beloved goes out for a stroll full of pace and eagerness, a stroll that works her up and makes her hot and sweaty. The drops of sweat appear on her face. Now these drops of sweat have never before appeared on a face like the beloved's. These drops of sweat usually appear on maybe the forehead of a hard-working farmer or a hard-working laborer or a gardener working under the sun. But suddenly, these drops of sweat see themselves appear on this exquisite, flawless, mirror-like radiant face of the beloved. And it bewilders and amazes these drops of sweat, who look at her face in amazement and astonishment as they appear on that face and cling to it, touch it, stick to it. As the lover imagines this scenario, he realizes that his suspicious, jealous, possessive nature will not take this scenario very well. To the lover standing far away, as these drops of sweat behave like the astonished, amazed gaze of the lover on beloved's face, the lover gets very suspicious. He gets very jealous. He is not willing to trust these drops of sweat on her face, gazing at her with the same amazement, same astonishment that is only reserved for the lover's eyes. Didaa-e-Hairaan पे सिर्फ आशिक का हक है. दीदा-ए-हैरान को सिर्फ जस्टिस आशिक कर सकता है. The only one who can do justice to the eyes of amazement and astonishment when staring at the beloved is the lover, no one else. Nothing, absolutely nothing will the lover trust on the beloved's face except his own gaze. Not even the beloved's own drops of sweat, which probably are very amazed and astonished by her beauty just like the lover, not even those does the lover trust on her face. Because no one, nothing can have that pure, refined, intense gaze, Araq, Didaa-e-Hairaan, of amazement and astonishment on the beloved's face like that of the lover. The lover's gaze is true. The lover's gaze is eternal. मूसा नहीं जो आँख झपक जाएगी मेरी, आए हुजूर दीदा-ए-हैरान के सामने. मुंशी शिव प्रसाद वहाबी का शेर. The approximate translation is, I am no Moses. And Moses, the prophet, is referred here. And he's referred because it is famous that most of his commands, guidance came from God in his sleep, in his dreams, in his subconscious state. So the lover here is saying, I am no Moses, that I will blink my eye even once. Dear one, come and stand in these astonished, amazed eyes of mine. I assure you, I will not even blink once. You are safe in these eyes. They will remain open. Come and stand in them. So, that is the way we connected the suspicion of the first line to the Araq Didaa-e-Hairaan of the second line. Now, we always tell you when we deviate from the other usual interpretations available for this couplet, and this is one such scenario. Lot of interpreters of this couplet have said that the lover is suspicious because he thinks that the drops of sweat on the beloved's face are the eyes of the rivals who are looking at her when she's walking and getting sweaty. And that also makes sense. That can be justified fully. There is nothing wrong with that interpretation. But somehow we were not convinced of it. It did not pass our DGMZ test because we think Araq, first of all, the Didaa-e-Hairaan itself belongs to the lover, in our humble opinion. And then the Araq, the fine, intense, refined, distilled, concentrated Didaa-e-Hairaan. No rival can give it to the beloved. Only lover can. Because we believe in that, this is the impression that made sense to us. But the other one also makes equal sense in terms of being justified and explained. All right. Now, as always, let's take a few minutes to step back and look at the couplet in totality. Though on surface, this couplet, and for that matter, all couplets that talk or focus on the beauty, that talk about or focus on the beauty of the beloved, seem to be somehow couplets that describe and glorify and detail the extraordinary beauty of the beloved. What we need to understand is that these couplets about beauty of the beloved are not actually about the beauty of the beloved. These couplets are in fact about the beauty of the beloved that exists in the eyes of the lover. That is a very important nuance. Otherwise these couplets become very superficial. They become very ordinary, right? अच्छे नैन नक्श तो कोई ग्रेट बात नहीं है, राइट? आज के ज़माने में तो बिल्कुल ही नहीं है, राइट? कोई भी कुछ भी लग सकता है, कोई भी कैसे भी दिख सकता है. There are tools available for it, right? So this is the way it comes to us, right? These couplets are not about the physical beauty of the beloved. उनके नैन नक्श वगैरह सुंदर हो भी सकती है, नहीं भी हो सकती है physically. The couplet actually is about the beauty the lover sees in the beloved, the way the lover perceives the beloved. And once you understand that nuance, the couplet takes a different meaning altogether. It goes to a different level altogether. Chai. And this is the take-home message from today's couplet, right? In our humble opinion, that an extraordinarily beautiful beloved exists only for the lover who has an extraordinarily filled with love glance, look, sight, शहजाद कैस का ये शेर, निगाहे कैस से देखो हमेशा लैला को, सनम किसी का भी हो बेमिसाल होता है. The approximate translation is, always use the eyes of Cass, who was the famous Majnu. Always use the eyes of Cass to look at Laila. Whoever the beloved belongs to, whoever's beloved she is out of this world. She is unmatched. But only if you look at her with the eyes of a lover. As the story goes, Laila, the famous Laila of Laila Majnu couple, was not the typical fair-faced beauty. In fact, Laila was dark complexioned. She was dusky. And of course, this was a facial feature which in ancient times, sometimes unfortunately even in these modern times, was considered suboptimal, not preferred, right? But for Majnu, all the fair-faced beauties paled in front of his extraordinarily beautiful vision of Laila. The extraordinary beauty of the beloved can only be seen by the eyes of a lover. For the rest of the eyes, for the rest of the gazes, this beauty will remain hidden, will remain invisible. You will not be able to see it. This version of the beloved, this beauty of the beloved is only and only meant for the eyes of the lover. Sayyid Sarosh सैयद सरोश आसिफ का ये शेर, लगेगी और भी वो खूबसूरत जो देखे खुद को वो मेरी नज़र से. The approximate translation is, she will find herself even more beautiful, even more prettier if she was to look at herself with my eyes. शहरयार का शेर, कौन सी बात है जो उसमें नहीं, उसको देखे मेरी नज़र से कोई. The approximate translation is, what is that is missing in her? What is that is not present in her? She has everything. If someone was to look at her with my eyes. And then last one, जावेद मुशीरी का ये शेर, मेरी नज़र से देखिए अपने जमाल को, 100 बार कह चुका हूं कि बातिल है आईना. The approximate translation is, if you want to look at your splendor, my dear, look at it from my eyes. 100 times I have told you, this mirror is useless, untruthful, incorrect, inaccurate. Ghalib has used today's couplet to detail in his unique, cryptic, yet hard-hitting style the unthinkable, unimaginable level of fascination the lover has towards the beloved. Ghalib does not hesitate for a second to mix into this fascination suspicion, possessiveness, jealousy, mistrust, all the good stuff, huh? Like we always say at DGMZ, for Ghalib, like we always say at DGMZ, for Ghalib the lover, the rule was very simple. If it is not me, then it's a rival. Everyone except me, with reference to the beloved, is a rival to me, even if it is her own drops of sweat on her own face. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. I am suspicious of them. I don't trust anything touching that face. Bad-Gumaani. Intense mistrust I have. The other thing that amazed us was how this couplet captures what it takes to transform a simple drop of moisture to a refined, pure, intense, distilled drop of essence. What it takes to be able to see the pure essence that lies in every plain looking drop. In our couplet today, it took the lover's gaze to see the essence of astonished, amazed eyes in the drops of sweat on the beloved's face. जोश मलियाबादी का बहुत प्यारा शेर, and we will end the episode with this. हर फूल का चेहरा अरक हुस्न से तर है, हर चीज में एक बात है, हर शय में असर है. The approximate translation is, the face of each and every flower is drenched in the essence of beauty. Everything has something in it. Every entity has an impact in it. But you need that gaze. You need that lover's gaze that cuts through the noise, that cuts through superficiality, that cuts through what is evident on the surface and goes to the heart of the thing, goes to the essence of the thing. वो जो दीदा-ए-हैरान है, और जैसे वो क्या है वो फ्रेज, बीना, दीदा-ए-बीना, the all-seeing eye. You need to have that pure, intense, true eye, which is looking at something with true, pure, intense emotion. And then you'll be able to see the essence. Otherwise, it is just a plain drop of water, moisture, liquid. All right. So that brings us to the end of Bad-Gumaani. All right. So that brings us to the end of Bad-Gumaani ने ना चाहा, उसे सरगर्म-ए-खिराम, रुख पे हर कतरा, अरक दीदा-ए-हैरान समझा. I hope you enjoyed the impression. As always, we'll be very keen to read your comments, hear your feedback. If you understood the couplet in any different way, share it with us. We are Alif fans. We love to hear different interpretations because we genuinely believe there was never meant to be just one interpretation. So share it with us. Now, as always, for our new viewers, a very strong recommendation to access the episode titled Introduction to DGMC, because it will give you a good insight into the motivation and inspiration behind this podcast. For our regular viewers, whenever you have time, we encourage you to go to the homepage of the channel, surf through the playlist. They are segregated by various topics, various ghazals. Pick an episode that interests you. If you have not joined us on Facebook, we encourage you to join us there, interact with us there. Lastly, we want to remind our viewers who want to access this episode in any other language than English, which is the original language of the episode, please use the settings visible on your screen right now and switch to a language that you want to hear the episode in. What YouTube will do is it will translate the entire episode in that language and give it to you as subtitles. You will not be able to hear it in that language, excuse what I said back then, but you will be able to read the entire episode in whatever language you have chosen. All right, now I will go ahead and close this episode by sending a lot of love and light to all you dear viewers, and thanks for watching.